Hello everyone, in today's class I am with your very next chapter in a chemistry for 11th class students, that is the structure of an atom. In previous classes already we have studied about the first chapter, that is the basic concept of chemistry. I hope you got a very strong foundations on the basics in a chemistry from that chapter. And just I wish to recap one theory in that chapter. Already you know about that theory, that is the Dalton's theory. Dalton's theory. So you know the Dalton's theory says about the atoms, and it says the atom is a very tiniest particle and it is indivisible in nature. It is called as an atom. And the Dalton's theory already well explained about the law of mass of conservation. Law of mass of conservation and the law of constant proportion. Law of constant proportion and the law of multiple proportion. Law of multiple proportion. Already we all study about these laws, and these laws are well explained by this Dalton's theory. But one thing, the Dalton's theory fails to explain some experiments, like the materials like glasses are when rubbed with a silk then generates electricity, and such things fails to explain by the Dalton's theory. Then what happened at the time of 19th 20th century, the scientists are moving forward and takes a lot of experiments on this theory and lot of experiments on this atom. Then we got in the atom we are having another subparticle also in that atom, like the subatomic particles. They are called as subatomic particles. In the atoms we are having some subatomic particles are there, and next they are protons, neutrons and electrons. Just imagine the atom is not visible to our naked eyes and it is a very tiniest particle. In that tiniest particle again we are having some subatomic particles, and how they are discovered and how their existence is agreed with our science. So by that experiments we are find the subatomic particles like protons, neutrons and electrons. In this chapter we are going to learn about that the experiments, how they discover the subatomic particles like protons, electrons and the neutrons. And next, the structure of atoms with the various models like Thomson model and Rutherford model, and next one is Bohr's model, and next one is quantum mechanical model or quantum model. So many of scientists are assumed and give their ideas about the theories, about their experiments, the Thomson model, Rutherford model, Bohr's model and the quantum models. Just they are giving the more and more idea about the structure of an atom. Finally we are accepted the quantum mechanic model about the structure of an atom. So these study is include this structure of an atom, and we are learn all about this in this chapter. So next we are going with experiment, that is the cathode ray discharge experiment. Cathode ray discharge. cathode ray discharge tube experiment. First, I wish to say here the experimental setup of the cathode ray discharge tube experiment here. So, first we take a one glass tube and this glass tube is connected with a two thin metal pieces called as an anode. One terminal of a metal piece is connected with a negative terminal of the battery and one is connected with a positive terminal of the battery. And these two electrons are named as, at the negative side we named as a cathode, and at the positive side and at the positive terminal we named as a anode here. And here let's remember one condition is that we maintain a high voltage, we supply a high voltage to this experimental setup, and by the help of a vacuum pump we maintain a low pressure here. Then we apply or we supply the electric current here, the voltage is applied to this and we maintain a very low pressure here. Then some rays are moving towards the anode, So by the results of this experiment we got some characteristics of these rays, and by that characteristics we find the subatomic particle. So see here the results of this experiment is the cathode rays are start from cathode and move towards the anode. Why we are called these rays are cathode rays? Because the rays are emerging from the side of the cathode. They are comes out from the side of the cathode. That's why these rays are called as cathode rays. Next see here, the cathode rays are start from the cathode. From the cathode they are coming to starts and move towards the anode. First we have observed these characteristics, and next these rays are themselves are not visible. These rays are invisible to us, but their behavior can be observed with the help of fluorescent materials. So what is the meaning of fluorescent material here? The fluorescent material is that material when some particles, when some rays are strike on that material and it starts to glow. So such material called as a fluorescent material. So another one thing remain in this experimental setup, that is he coated a zinc sulfide to the anode side. At the positive terminal side he coat a one zinc sulfide material. This zinc sulfide material is act as a phosphorescent or a fluorescent. Means when some rays are strike on this, when some particles are strike on this, then it starts to glow. So this type of material is called as a phosphorescent material or the fluorescent material. So by the help of the glowing of zinc sulfide, then he observed the behavior of these rays characteristics and the existence of these rays. So the rays are themselves not visible to our eye, but their behavior can be observed with the help of fluorescent material like a zinc sulfide. And next one, third one is the absence of electrical and magnetic field. These rays travel in a straight line. If you don't apply the electrical field, or if you don't apply the magnetic field, means the absence of electrical field and the absence of magnetic field, these rays are moving in a straight line. And if in presence of electric field and in presence of a magnetic field, some deflections takes place in the anode side. In the more towards the anode side. Some deflections takes place when we are applying the electric field and magnetic field here. Then the behavior of the cathode rays are similar to that expected from the negatively charged particles. Then we imagine or then we assumed that particles behavior is negatively charged particles because they are deflecting in that anode side. So by the help of this third characteristics, means in presence of an electric field and in presence of a magnetic field, the behavior of cathode rays are similar to that expected from the negatively charged particles, and these negatively charged particles are called as an electron or are named as an electron. So this is our subatomic particle. So by this experiment he found the existence of the electron. And next one, the fourth characteristic is the characteristics of cathode rays. Cathode rays are nothing but the electrons do not depend upon the material of electron and gas present in the tube. So see here, these rays means the electrons or these cathode rays do not depend upon the material of these electrodes, and these are having the same properties, either this material whatever it may be, and the gas present in this glass tube, means if there is a hydrogen gas or some another whatever it may be, we take the another gas here, then also these cathode rays shows the similar properties and similar characteristics. That's why these cathode rays or the electrons do not depend upon the material of the electrodes and the gas present in that glass tube. So this is all about the results of this experiment. So by these results we conclude there is a negative charged particle is there in that atom and it is called as an electron.